my yarny friends. I have a friend I want you to meet. This is Turkey Lurky. He is a funny little turkey. It's a pillow. It's so funny. When I was videoing this, I was laughing so hard. I had a hard time even getting my composure, okay? This is one silly turkey. This is the perfect thing to have at a family get-together, to pass around. If you've got people over that you don't know very well, but you're wanting to be hospitable, pass it around, let them hold it, throw it, play with it. Before long, everybody's going to be having a fun time and laughing. And it's also, put it in a basket, stick it in the center of your Thanksgiving table. It'll be so much fun. All right, so this is Turkey Lurky. He measures about 12 inches with his feathers and feet. It's super easy to make. You can get in your yarn stash and pull out a bunch of your acrylic yarns and have some fun. Because although I've made mine in traditional colors, you can use whatever colors that you want to. Now you can find the free crochet pattern on my blog as always, and there's pictures and notes and things to help you. And you can find that link down in the notes underneath this video. Gobble, 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 gobble till you wobble. I love those feet. Okay, so we're going to make our Turkey Lurky Silly Turkey, and we're going to be using all medium weight number 4 yarns. Now these are the yarns that I have chosen from my yarn stash. The main 2 circles, because you have to make 2 circles of our Turkey Lurky, I'm using this. This is Karen 1 pounder I had on hand. The color of this is called Nutmeg. I think it's a nice color for a medium brown. Okay, so then you're also going to need a small amount of several other colors. I'm going to be doing 5 feathers, and I'm going to do one of them in this brown nutmeg. And then I've got a darker brown, a yellow, an orange, and a red. Just a small amount, medium weight number 4 acrylic yarns. We're going to need a small amount of yellow for the nose and also for the silly little feet that we're going to add at the bottom. And then, of course, you're going to need some black and white for the eyes. We're also going to be putting on what I call a little gobble, which we're going to make a little curl. And we're going to do that out of red. Okay, so these are the colors I've chosen. These are traditional colors, but you can do yours any colors that you want to. You can also make your feathers out of variegated colors if you want it to have a different look. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do as far as your colors. Now I'm going to be doing mine in the basic traditional Thanksgiving turkey colors. All right, you're going to need 5 pins because when we put the feathers on, we're going to be pinning them on like this and then adding the other circle. And we want to make sure those are pinned in the right spot when we come around and stitch them together. All right, you're going to need a little bit of stuffing, just a handful to stuff your turkey. You'll need a needle, of course, for weaving in ends. And then we're going to be stitching with our H hook. All the pieces and the turkey itself will all be stitched with an H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. And then, of course, you're going to need your scissors. So I've already made one of the circles for the turkey body. And, of course, we need to make 2. All right, so now we're going to make a second circle. So I've got my nutmeg brown yarn that I'm using. Going to make my slip knot and chain 5. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle. Make that stay knot. And if you would prefer to use a magic circle or another method, you certainly can. We're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet. And now we're going to stitch 9 more double crochets in this chain 5 circle. You'll also notice that I'm stitching over this tail of yarn, and that's so when I finish I can pull this and close up that hole. Okay, let's see how many I've done. So our chain 3 counts as our first, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this one makes 10. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now before we go on, I'm going to make my loop a little bit bigger so it doesn't come undone. We're going to turn this over, gently pull on this. Go ahead and grab our needle and we'll weave this in. That way we don't have to worry about it later. But of course, if you want to wait till you're done with your turkey body circle, you certainly can. I just like to get it over with. All right, let me grab my scissors, clip that off, and now for row 1 we have 10 double crochets. We joined to our chain 3 and chained 3. All right, let's do row 2. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in that same stitch as our chain 3, and then we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets around. Two double crochets in each of the double crochets around, and then we'll join back to our chain 3. All right, let's do row 3. Row 3, we're basically doing what we did on row 2. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then again we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. And so again, we're stitching 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. We'll continue this around and again join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 3. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch and again chain 3. So row 1 we had 10, row 2 we had 20, and row 3 we have 40 double crochets, and that's going to make a nice flat circle. All right, now we're going to do row 4. Row 4, our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet. We're not going to stitch in the same stitch as our chain 3. We're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, because our chain 3 counts as 1 and then we stitch 2 more. Then in that next stitch we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. Now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. And this is our repeat for row 4. 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. And we'll repeat this working all the way around. One double crochet in the next 3 and 2 in the next. 1 and 2. We'll repeat this working all the way around and join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 4, stitching 1 double crochet in the next 3 and 2 in the next, and we repeated that all the way around and join back to our chain 3 and chained 3. So for row 4, we have 50 double crochets. All right, let's do row 5. And so what we're going to do is our chain 3 counts as our first, and we're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And our chain 3 counts as 1, and so we stitch 3, so that's 4 double crochets, and then 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. And so this is what our repeat is going to be. 1 double crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 4, and 2 double crochets in the next, and we'll repeat this, working all the way around again, and join back to our chain 3. I completed row 5, stitching 1 double crochet in the next 4 and 2 in the next. So for row 5, we have 60 double crochets. And now we just have one more row to do. So again, our chain 3 counts as our first, and we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. And so our repeat for our last row, row 6, is 1 double crochet in the next 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. And again, we're going to repeat that around and join back to our chain 3. So I completed row 6, and on row 6 you're going to have 70 double crochets. All right, so I joined to my chain 3, and I only chained 1, and that's because we're going to tie off. Now, I've also got a second circle that we're going to be putting together to form our little pillow. On the first one, you need to tie off and weave in your end. But on the second one, you want to leave your yarn attached because we're going to make the feathers and pin them on, and then we'll put these together and sew around them. Then we'll flip them over, we'll stuff it, and then close it. All right, so you're going to need 2 circles. So repeat row 1 through 6 one more time. So I have 4 feathers made, red, orange, yellow, and a darker brown, and I'm going to make one in the lighter brown as well, so that I'll have 5 turkey feathers. They're all made exactly the same. You can make them in whatever colors that you want. I went with traditional colors. So we're going to make our feathers. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 10 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're going to stitch a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that leaves 1 more. And in this last one, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. All right. Now we're going to turn our work and stitch down what's called the opposite or other side of our chain. We're going to stitch 2 single crochets in that first stitch. 1, 2, and then we'll stitch 1 single crochet in each of those chains, working back down the opposite side of our chain. Some more yarn out here. Go ahead and chain 1, and I want you to see how that looks. See how it has kind of a seam down the center, because we started over here, we worked up here, we stitched 2 single crochets, then we turned our work, we stitched 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 in each coming back down. So we chained 1, and now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the first 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in the next, 1 and 2, 2 single crochets in the next, 1 and 2, and then 2 single crochets in the next, 1 and 2. And that gives us a nice curve around the top of our feather. And then we'll just stitch 1 single crochet in each of those, working all the way back down the other side. All right, so there is our turkey feather. Now we're going to cut, tie off, and then take a few minutes to weave these ends in. Now this is the front and this is the back. So we want to bring this to the back. And sometimes when you work this, you might have a hole up here. I didn't this time, but if you do, just go around that hole and close it up. We don't want a hole in the top of our turkey feather. There we go. And we'll just weave this in. And then I'll weave in this one as well, and then I'll show you how to put your turkey together. And then we can make the rest of the pieces. So now what we're going to do is pin the feathers on. I like to do this in such a way that the end is over here on this side, okay? And this is the order I'm going to put them on. So what I'm going to do is start with the center one, and I'm going to pin it so that my pin sticks out the top. That way, after I'm done, I can pull that pin right out, okay? And now we're going to, we want them to be right next to each other so they're going to overlap when we lay them down. Okay, then we'll take this one on this side. You don't want the top to overlap. You want those to be next to each other, but they're going to overlap at the bottom until we flip them out. Pull that up a little bit. All right, so now those are pinned in place. And so then we're going to take the other circle, and just so that you understand, this is the right side. These are the wrong side of our feathers because once we sew them, these will be flipped out, okay? So then we'll take our second circle with the right side down, and we'll place that right on top. All right, now we're going to start over here, and we're going to be stitching this closed. All right, so we'll go through the first 2 stitches here, and we'll stitch single crochets, All right, now I've come to my first feather. And so what we want to do is make sure that when we go through the stitch here, and we go through the bottom of that feather and stitch our single crochet. All right, I'm going to move this pin out just so it's out of my way. And see how I'm going through this side? I'm going through the feather and I'm going through that side and stitching a single crochet. And this is how we stitch it all together. This is the most complicated part of this little pillow. All right, so I've stitched on the red one. Now we're going to do the next one. And we go in the next stitch. We grab that next top of that next feather. And we just keep going around. And after I do a couple stitches, I'll go ahead and pull that pin just to get it out of my way. I'm going to finish this particular feather, and then I'm going to give you a peek at what it looks like on the inside, or I should say the outside, because we're going to flip it over. All right. Let's flip this up. All right, and this is where we stitched, and then these will sit up this way. All right, so I'm just going to continue going around, stitching it all together and stitching those feathers, and then we'll stitch around here and we'll leave ourselves an opening over here on the side to add our stuffing. So I have stitched the areas where the feathers are, and then around and left an opening here. I'm going to pull my loop big so it doesn't come out. And we're going to go ahead and flip this over. All right, now we'll just push those out. There's my feathers. Are those not the cutest things? I'm going to grab my stuffing. Make sure I get it out to the edges. And it's up to you how much stuffing you want in here. Pull this out of the way. I pulled my loop in there. We don't want that. There we go. He's nice and squishy. All right, now the end of this, we don't want to do single crochet stitches because we don't want it sticking out. And so we're going to cut this. We're going to grab our needle. Where the end of the yarn is there. There we go. And we're going to whip stitch it closed, and that's going to make it not have an extra little edge, because if we were to single crochet it, it would have like a little ridge, and we don't want that. Alrighty, let's get that on my needle. There we go. And this is probably way more yarn than I need, but I'm just one of those people, I just want to make sure I have enough. Alright, so we have that loop, so we're going to go through that loop. There we go. I think I do have way too much yarn here. Let me cut a piece of that off just to get it out of the way. If I need more, I can always add more. All right, so we want to make sure we get that stuffing up on the edge there. And we're going to go in those outside loops and just whip stitch this closed. Now, if you want a fatter turkey, because they're super cute, go ahead and add a whole lot more stuffing. I'm just keeping mine kind of flat. But yeah, add a whole lot more stuffing in there. I mean, you know, everybody loves stuffing, right? At Thanksgiving. Alrighty. And see how that looks just a lot better than having a ridge of single crochet around. And now that it's closed, I'll go kind of back down it just to make sure we don't lose any stuffing out of the side. And that it looks nice and neat. And so now we have a turkey body and turkey feathers. And now we need all the other components to make our silly turkey ready for Thanksgiving. All right, I'm just going to go in. This is your front. Make sure your feathers are facing forward. I'm going to turn this to the back, sort of swirl it in that stuffing. Pull it up. We don't want that pulled up too much. I'm going to cut this. Pull a little. Make a couple of knots. And then we'll just take our crochet hook and pull that back inside. Because we want that knot inside that stuffing. Sometimes I'll go up and grab it and pull it in. Just like that. So now it's all inside and we have the beginnings of our cute little turkey pillow. So I already have my two little turkey eyes made, but I'm going to show you with this brown so it's a little bit easier to see. All right, so we're going to start with our slip knot and chain 5. We're going to join this into a circle. And again, if you prefer to use the magic circle or another method, you certainly can. All right, we're going to go in, pull up a loop, and just chain 1. And we're going to stitch 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 single crochets. We'll join to our first single crochet. And then we're going to change colors. So we're going to clip our yarn. And we're going to bring in the white. And I've got some white here all ready to go. We'll bring that in. And now we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in each of those 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, and 16. So we had 8 on the first row, 16 on the second row. We're going to join to that first single crochet and chain 1. Now we will come back in and weave these ends in. Don't worry about that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to place 1 single crochet in the first 2. So 1 and 2. And then we'll stitch 2 single crochets in the next. 1 and 2. 1 single crochet in the next 2. And 2 single crochets in the next. And I've got a knot there, but I'm not worried about it because this is a demo. All right, and so what you're going to do is you're going to repeat around 2 single crochets, 1 in each of the next 2, and then 2 in the next, and work that all the way around and join back to the first single crochet. So we worked that 2 and 2 of our single crochets around. We joined to our first single crochet and tied off, and then we left a long tail of yarn so we can sew this onto our turkey face. And you need to make sure that you make 2 eyes. All right, let's work on that turkey beak. We're going to begin with a slip knot, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. We're going to stitch 2 single crochets. 1, 2, chain 1, and turn. Now we'll stitch 2 single crochets in those 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So now we have 4. chain 1, and turn. Now we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in the first single crochet, 1 in each of the next 2, 1, 2, and then 2 single crochets in the last one, 1 and 2. So now let's go ahead and chain 1. We went from 2 to 4 to 6 single crochets. We're going to turn and just stitch 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets across. And chain 1, but we're not going to turn. We're going to work down the side and evenly stitch single crochets. And you want to try to get in the sides of the stitches and not the holes if you possibly can. All right, now when we get to the bottom here, we're going to single crochet, that tail yarn out of the way, chain 1 and single crochet. And then we'll work back up the side, stitching evenly single crochets. Then we'll join to that first single crochet. Here's our beak. Then we'll cut our yarn, and we're going to leave a long piece for sewing it on. We'll go ahead and tie that off, but before we do that, we're going to take our needle and tidy up the bottom of that beak. If there's a hole there, you want to try to make sure that you close that up. Sometimes if you stitch a little loose, you end up with a little bit of a hole. And of course, we want to weave this in. I always kind of give it a little pull because we want there to be a point on the bottom of our turkey's beak. All right, so now we have a beak and 2 eyes. Now I realize the term gobble isn't exactly what it is. It's a little curl, and I know it has a technical name. I don't care what the technical name is. I just like making them because they're super cute. Let me get that yellow yarn out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a little bit of a tail, maybe about 6 inches. We'll make our slip knot, and we're going to chain 10 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we're going to work in the second chain from the hook and stitch a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet in that first stitch. Then we'll go to the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. And we'll do this in every one of those stitches. Oops, there we go. Single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. Single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet in each of those chain stitches. And you'll see this makes a nice curl. Single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet, and it's just the perfect size for our little turkey pillow. And then in that last stitch, we're just going to single crochet. And isn't that cute? All right, and then we're going to cut that. Whoops. Tie off. And now we have our turkey gobble, or whatever you want to call it. All right, let's put the face on our turkey. So what I like to do is start with the beak, and I'll put the point of the beak in the center of the circle. And I want to line it up with my center feather. All right, so I'm going to thread on my yellow tail of yarn for my beak. And I'm going to do what I usually do when I'm making pieces, sewing pieces onto stuffies and things, is I like to do what I call a basting stitch around first. And that gets it where it needs to be as far as placement. Go up there. All right, now I'm going to stitch down again, making a little bit bigger stitches because again I am basting this in place. Take your time, have a little fun with it. And you know what? If it's off center, if it's off kilter, whatever, it's okay. It's a silly little turkey. I'm never looking for perfection. I'm just looking for cuteness. Now I'm back up where I started. And I'm going to take a look at it. I do like where it's at, the points in the circle. It's a little crooked, but I'm okay with that. And it's lined up with my center feather. So I'm going to go ahead and go around again. You want to make sure your pieces are going to stay on, because I know my grandkids are probably going to be playing with this as well as us adults, because it's fun. And this is also a nice icebreaker when you have people that you haven't met before come over, or not met before, but you don't know real well, and you're trying to be hospitable, and you invite some people over, and they're a little uncomfortable. Having something silly, pass it around, say what you're thankful for, then it kind of breaks the ice and people feel a little bit more comfortable. I think silliness always makes people feel more comfortable. All right, now I'm going to spin that around in that stuffing and do like we did with the other one and bring it up the back. Make a little knot so it gets caught in that stuffing and then just push it in. And again, I'll use my hook, go up and grab that in and pull it in. And that's a good way to hide your stitches. All right, I'm going to pull that up a little bit. So now my turkey has a nose. The next thing we need to do are the eyes, and I want my eyes to be right like this. I want them to be right up there. Isn't that funny? Now I am going to sew them down. They'll be maybe a little lower onto the beak, but that's where I'm going to place my eyes. All right, so I'm going to take one off, put this one on. And again, you can pin these in place if you want to. If you're more comfortable doing it that way, it's totally fine. I'm going to go around that edge, and then I'm going to do that basting row first. Because again, this turkey is to be silly. It's not to be a traditional stuffy turkey, although it is a stuffy turkey. Well, we want it to be fun and silly. Getting together with family and friends should always be fun and silly, okay? Don't talk about things in the past. Don't talk about things that's going to upset each other. Just get together, love each other, and have some fun. All right, looks like I need to add some more yarn on here because I'm running out. But that's where that eye is going to be. And if you want it to be a little more 3D, you can pull that a little tighter and make it stick up. All right, I'm going to finish sewing this eye on, and then I'll sew the other one on just like this, but I've got to get some more yarn on my needle. I pooched my eyes up, and I absolutely love it. It's cracking me up. The last thing we need to add, of course, is the little gobble. It's just a little curly thing. What I do actually is I'll take my crochet hook and kind of go, I'm going to go a little higher. And it doesn't matter which side you put it on, you know, it's up to you how you want to do that. I'll pull that one that way, and then I'll come the other way and pull the string up this way. And then you get that nice and tight, and I just tie a knot right here. And then I'll get my crochet hook from behind. There we go, and just pull that through. This turkey is so funny, it's cracking me up. All right, so the last thing I want to add is some silly little feet. And this is something you don't have to add it if you want, but I think it's just fun. All right, so we're going to turn our turkey upside down. We're going to go right to the center. And we're going to go through those stitches. Just stick your hook through there. And grab your yarn. And we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. And then slip stitch in the next chain. All right. Now you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And you're going to slip stitch in the second chain and then in the next chain. All right. Then you're going to do that again. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch in those 2 chains, the second and the third. And now you're going to slip stitch up here in that third chain. Make sure you pull that nice and snug. And then slip stitch in those last 2 chains. There we go. 1 and 2. All right, I'm going to pull that so it's nice and snug. There's a foot. Now you're going to go like right next to that one. And repeat what we just did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to slip stitch in the second and third. Chain 3. Slip stitch in the second and third chain. Chain 3. Slip stitch in the second and third chain, then slip stitch in that first chain there, and then slip stitch in the next 2. 1 and 2. There's your second foot. It looks like I need to slip stitch in one more chain there. There we go. And then we'll go right back in that same spot and slip stitch. Okay? Those are so funny. Clip our yarn. All right. If I can stop laughing, I'm going to go ahead and, weave these in. And we need to be careful that we weave them in without them messing up our feet here. There's that one. I'm going to grab this one. I think I'm just going to tie a knot down here. I know you shouldn't be tying knots, but I think that's going to work best for this situation. These little feet are so funny. Oh. All right, then we'll just tie them back here. Because we do not want those little feet to come off. Oh, I wanted this turkey to be so silly, and I wanted to add these feet. I had no idea how silly these little feet were going to be. Oh, that is so funny. I'm having trouble stopping laughing. I think this little turkey is hilarious, and it's a super fun little project using up your scraps. And the little feet, they're so funny. So this is our little Turkey Lurky pillow to cheer up all your guests and yourself on Thanksgiving.